Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to have a little bit of a difficult conversation. Now I know that not many conversations here are fun, lighthearted, what you talk to your family about over lunch, but today we're going to be talking about child sexual abuse in a more conceptual way than usual, because usually I'll come here, I'll tell you, look at this case, look at this fucking disgusting human, look at these poor children, and it's pretty 1 + 1 = 2. Here, we're going to be talking about laws and judges and things that are happening that honestly almost push me into conspiracy mode. And you guys know I do not like going there. I don't like coming up with reasons for why Hollywood is Hollyweird and all this shit. You guys know I'm not blind to pedophiles being basically everywhere. But this really does solidify some of the ideas that I have of pedophiles pulling strings and people just not looking into it, and I'll explain. So I'm going to try and make this as easy to understand as possible, because I do think that the articles that I've found about this have been written in a type of way that is inaccessible to a lot of people. That's not to say that I'm smarter than anyone. That's more to say that I took and had the luxury of having the time to look further into it and ask myself, okay, what does this mean? What are they trying to say? And what's between the lines? Not everyone has that kind of time on their hands. So I think something very weird is happening. So I have 2 articles, both of them will be linked down below. Louisiana High Court. It's priests' quote-unquote right to not be sued for abuse. The state Supreme Court ruled that priests have a property right not to be sued for sexually abusing children. The fact that we're even having this conversation is dystopian, to say the very least, but let's just keep going. The Louisiana Supreme Court has decided to strip sexual assault survivors of an avenue of justice, ruling 3-4 that it's the due process rights of priests and their enablers to not be held accountable in instances of sexual assault. Now, listen to this part because it's important and kind of confusing. The case Bienvenue versus Diocese of Lafayette was brought by Douglas Bienvenue and several other plaintiffs who claimed they were sexually molested by a Roman Catholic priest during the 1970s when they were between the ages of 8 and 14. So these people all claimed they were molested in the 70s. But in its majority opinion issued on March 22nd, the court argued that while the facts of the case were largely undisputed facts of the case, they were not disputed, the priest and the religious institution he was part of was actually protected under the U.S. Constitution's Due Process Clause, which says that no one shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. So this is where I got confused, and maybe the rage makes me see red, which, to be honest, is fair enough. Therapy, I don't know how much that can help me, but whatever. If we do the easy math, even for a dumbass like me in math, claims are made of pedophilia. Those claims are undisputed. That seems a little bit open and shut for me, right? Like, people say that a thing happened, it's undisputed that it happened. It should be that simple, right? Well, wrong, bitch. Apparently, that deprives of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. So this is where I was like, what is this? What is going on here? I actually had to reread it a couple times because I was like, am I becoming dumber? Possible, but given these constitutional limitations, the issue presented by this case turns on whether the revival provisions operate to disturb defendants' vested rights, wrote Louisiana Justice James Genovese, specifying that we're constrained to find the statutory enactment is contrary to the due process protections enshrined in our Constitution and must yield to that supreme law. The Louisiana Child Victims Act, according to the court, quote-unquote, cannot be retroactively applied to revive plaintiffs' prescribed causes of action on the basis that such an action would divest defendants of their vested right to plead prescription. So now, if there are any lawyers, please elucidate in the comments, because truly, the more I read this, the more I think I get it, but I'm also confused and I don't want to trust what Twitter's saying. And I've read other articles and all of them are written like this, which is why, like I said before, I'm a little bit in conspiracy mode, because the easiest way to get people to not pay attention to shit is to make it so complicated that people A, don't have time to look into it, or B, don't have the energy for it. As far as I understand, that means that it's like a statute of limitations in the sense of, oh, you figured out or you understand or you unrepressed things from the 70s that happened to you. Well, it's too late for that. It's like the statute of limitations saying, okay, you figured out that you were abused. You know who did it. It's undisputed, but too little too late. So too bad. Missed the train. That's what I understood from all of this, which is why I'm frustrated, because for me, and I don't know if this is controversial, if it is, so be it, statute of limitations for child abuse should not exist. Like, if you are so traumatized that you repress shit, that someone threatens you so you never tell anyone about what happened, whatever situation is the case, you were still abused as a child and that person is still a pedophile, a predator, or whatever. So I don't see how statute of limitations is in any way appropriate, but let me just keep going. The Louisiana legislature passed the act in 2021 to establish a quote-unquote look-back window for sexual assault victims. The legislation provided victims of sexual abuse crimes from any period with an opportunity to pursue justice against their alleged abusers so long as they filed it for their lawsuits before June 2024, but the court effectively ruled that the look-back window was actually unconstitutional. So, in translation, the Louisiana courts decided that basically you could open the history books and refer back to any time in your life when you were abused, if that is the case. They said, okay, go ahead. Then after, they were like, actually, no. Do I want to open this door? Well, okay, fuck it. So basically, you guys know I have no issue with the Catholic Church. I was raised in the Catholic Church. I definitely have some critiques. I will say I don't want to get phone calls from family members saying that I shouldn't have said the thing I said, but I have some opinions. Regardless, is it not convenient that you have a window saying, hey, you can go back at any time of your life to bring forward claims of assault that, were closed due to the window, and then all of a sudden they're like, no, I take that back. Actually, you can't bring anything forward. We're not talking about old cases anymore. Because to me, if we put it in context of the church, that's like saying, hey, bring forward any complaint you have. Everything's good. Bring forward any complaint. And then when they realize how many complaints are coming in, they're like, oh, wait, this makes us look bad. This makes it look like we might have systemic problem that's deeply rooted within our religious lifestyles, within our religious doings, habits, rituals. Listen, I don't know what fucking word to use, but to me it says like, oh shit, we opened this up and now we need to close it up real quick because it makes our church look bad. It makes our priests look bad, which realistically, yes. So to me, closing the look back window is a lot like saying, oh fuck, we shouldn't have done this in the first place, which then says, what are you hiding? Which is a lot more abuse, in my opinion. Louisiana is not the only state to repeal such a law. Courts in Utah and Colorado also found similar look-back windows to be unconstitutional, and other windows across the country continue to be challenged due to the complications of prosecuting crimes with minimal evidence which may have taken place decades in the past. So I'll link the other article down below. Both of these, I think, are the simplest ones to understand, that are also as unbiased as you can be with such a situation, though frankly, even that, you'd think that everyone would be biased towards protecting children ideally, but alas, no. I'm kind of surprised that as of when I'm filming, I'm not seeing more about this. I'm not saying I'm the only person talking about it, not by any means, but I haven't seen it come up on my timeline as much as other things, and granted, there's a lot going on. There's Coachella amongst a lot of other world things going on, so I mean, maybe it got lost along the way, but I'm really surprised because at the end of the day, what this is doing is it's depriving victims from coming forward. And like I said, not everyone is able to talk immediately for a number of different reasons, and I really don't think it's fair that their problem, whatever happened, is just dismissed because guess what? You didn't speak fast enough. I don't know. I find that really demoralizing, and it goes back to what I was saying the other day. It's like with male victims of domestic abuse. It almost feels useless to come forward if it feels like for one reason or another people aren't listening to you, whether it has to do with gender, whether it's about new laws that are put into place. You know, it's demoralizing to think like the people that hurt you get no consequence whatsoever, even if what they're doing traumatizes you, is against the law, and whatever else. I don't know. I found this incredibly depressing, and I really hope that this doesn't become a nationwide thing, because like it said at the end of the article, states are jumping on board, and putting aside as a general concept, it as a concept related to the church makes the church look bad too, because the church should be number one saying, hey, if any of our priests are fucked up, if anyone in the church generally is fucked up to the point where they're abusing children, we want them out of here. They should be the first people to want this shit exposed, because you need to clean these people out. And instead, you're deciding to not, which is like, okay, so where are your priorities? Which would make me doubt my faith a little bit, not to be dramatic, but I wouldn't want to go to churches that defend that type of shit anymore. And that's not to say that every church is like that or every priest is like that. Of course not. But if the ruling forces at the top put that precedent into place, is that something we want to even get near? Anyway, I've blabbered for long enough. If you guys listened until here, thank you. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons as always, and I'll catch you guys next time.